how to heal your past as an intuitive. You can heal your past by revisiting it and understanding that any negative beliefs that were programmed into you before the age of 5 might have been unwittingly programmed by a parent who was doing their best. They may not have realized what they were programming into you. They thought the job that they were doing was good enough, and they didn't fill you to the brim with love. They didn't fill you to the brim with self-esteem. What you need to do now as an adult is realize that you are that loving parent to yourself. You are in charge of your life. However, we seem to give up that role very easily and leave it up to a boss or leave it up to a friend or a partner to fill those needs for us. We look for that external validation rather than giving that validation to ourselves. And that's who needs to be giving the validation when you become an adult. Left brain logical people just assume that their limitations are what they are, and they don't always get that opportunity to go back and see where they could have changed. Whereas sensitive people, we know what those painful memories are. We know about that music teacher who told us we couldn't sing or we couldn't play the guitar. We know that hurtful art teacher who told us don't go to art school because you can't draw, or that painful university professor even who told us we can't go to grad school. People are going to university younger and younger now, and they may not be fully formed adults yet when they do begin university. So even those professors can influence our psyche, and we can be so seeking their approval that we just believe anything that they say, even when it's negative. And it's very important as a sensitive person to not let in the negative opinions of anyone. As children, we probably didn't learn that. As adults, we have to learn it for self-preservation in order to become successful. Whatever people say to us, whatever negative labels they apply, are just labels and opinions, and we have to throw that in the garbage. It's like the Buddha says, if somebody gives you the gift of criticism, you don't have to accept it. And then the gift belongs with them, not with you. That's what we need to apply in our own lives when we're learning and growing. It's critical to believe what you tell you about yourself, and you can say anything you want to yourself. That's the amazing news. You can sprinkle in things that almost seem like a lie if you want. The thing about lies is that your brain may not accept it right away, so it might be trickier for you to believe it. But you can try and experiment even. I'm going to implant that I'm an amazing guitar player, even though I've hardly ever picked up a guitar in my life. And I'll see what happens the next time I have one in my hands and see if I can play it. You can sprinkle in these really cool beliefs about yourself, that you have some hidden talent that you haven't tapped. And you never know, if you haven't really tried or practiced, you may discover something new about yourself that you can do even as late as your 60s and 70s. Believe it or not, many people achieve success around this age because they finally had that time to really explore themselves and get their other life priorities out of the way, so they discover what their true contribution is, what their true gifts and talents are. However, don't wait until you retire. If you have time to discover yourself now and know what's important to you, find out what these priorities are now while you're young. It might seem difficult because you want to save money for a house or for a child's education, and those financial priorities are important. However, if you have extra time and extra money to save for things that are important to you, like a trip to a country you've always wanted to visit, those are really important priorities too. I'm not saying spend recklessly. I'm saying don't give up on those dreams and try to keep finding ways to save money and do research to find things that are affordable. And you'd be surprised how sometimes the stars line up and a really affordable trip becomes an opportunity. Building your own self-esteem and telling yourself good things, undoing the negative beliefs that people have placed on you subconsciously. We unlock all the doors to our future when we unlock all of our negative beliefs. If you're struggling in some area of your life, for example, you find your bills are going up, or you're dealing with a very difficult boss or a very difficult partner, it's our belief system that locks us into those relationships and into those situations. If you want to make a meaningful change in your life and you can't seem to find a way out, you seem kind of trapped, like you can't make a change, the key there is that you need to unlock your negative belief system. There's something bad that happened in your past and you formed a belief about it that you need to clear. And when you clear those beliefs, that fear of survival goes way, way, way down. I'm not saying you never fear survival. I'm not saying you never have any needs. I'm not saying you never have any fears again, because that's not realistic. You will feel fear again. But fear is really a misguided belief that you simply have to undo. If you live in a developed country, there are no lions chasing you. There are no criminals chasing you in your neighborhood. You know, your life is pretty good. Maybe it's a bit expensive. Maybe you're dealing with some difficult people, but these problems are solvable, and your belief that they're not solvable, this is a misguided belief. That's why undoing the karma and undoing the negative beliefs of our past become so important, because everything is solvable. When we feel we have a problem, so I'll give you an example from my day-to-day life. I have friends from one culture and friends in another, and I've tried to introduce them before, and there were some cultural misunderstandings, and I wondered, what can I do as the person in the middle? I wasn't really sure how to solve the problem. And what I realized reflecting on that situation is that I wasn't taking enough responsibility in order to help my friends really adapt to the culture of my other friends, because I felt like I wasn't capable, because I felt disempowered or victimized, that I couldn't control the situation because I only belonged to one culture and not the other. And the truth is, as a Canadian, I belong to multiple cultures, actually. It's crazy how that can happen, because I look one way, I appear to be in a certain economic status and appear to be a certain gender and race, but we actually can belong to multiple communities and multiple cultures in our lifetime. And if we are lucky enough to belong like that, then we have a responsibility to help connect other people and make that adaptation process a bit smoother, and make that adjustment period a bit smoother. It's our disempowered beliefs that really stop us from achieving anything. And when you realize that that's your barrier, that that's your belief, you realize how easy it is actually to undo it.